Welcome back to Beelzebub the Jag. I've driven around about 120 miles on the refurbished front suspension, and I have to say the car feels truly fantastic. I've had an awful lot of Jaguars over the years. I've driven over 32 years, in fact, so I do know them rather well, but I now know what they're actually supposed to feel like. None of my cars have ever felt quite like this. I've never had one brand new, and I've never had one that's been freshly rebuilt. Most of the ones I've had have been, high mileage, fairly clapped out models, and they still feel really rather nice, is the truth. They might be a bit squishy here and there, but they still feel lovely. But it's nice to know what they're actually supposed to feel like, and it's remarkable. The transformation is really quite something. So it's been a brutal job, but it's a big job to do in a fully equipped garage. Working in January in the ice on the bloody pavement, is made it really unpleasant. I'll be truthful with you. It's not something I want to do again, but I'm glad it's out of the way. It's just a shame that I've had that vindictive community support officer on my back issuing fines, but it is what it is. I accept that, and the fine doesn't really trouble me too much. It's just the vindictive nature of it, the personal nature of it. That's what troubles me. The £100 is not very nice, but it's not going to make any difference to my life. It's not like it's a £20,000 fine or something that would sting a bit. It just left a bit of a bad taste, and just the vindictive nature of it. I don't understand that type of thing and what makes such people tick. But there we go. It obviously made his day better. And we've all had a good laugh about it. So it's perhaps worth the small amount of money that I've got to pay so we can all laugh about this silly sod. But another thing that happened last night, the car was parked in the same position outside my house. I could hear a lorry sort of rumbling and making a bit of a noise, and I was, it went on for a few minutes. I went out to have a look, and it turned out there was a recovery vehicle, full-size recovery vehicle, was trying to recover a Volkswagen Golf, which was parked right in front of the Jaguar, very close to the Jaguar, and the police were on the side of the pavement in their car with their engine running. So I realised very quickly what was happening, and the police were trying to recover this car. It was a private recovery, but the police were there instructing it. So I just quickly said to the driver, "Would you want me to move the Jaguar?" He said, "Oh, would you? Yeah, thank you." And he thanked me, and I moved it backwards, and he dragged this Golf on, and I put the Jaguar back. And I went back in the house. So, I came out just because the police car didn't disappear, so I came out to have another look. And one of the police officers poked his head out of the window and shouted something to me, which I thought it was just occurred to say, "Oh, thanks for that," but it wasn't. What he actually said when I asked him to repeat himself, he said, "Are you insured to drive that car?" And I said, "Well, yes, of course I'm insured." And then he said, "Well, the car's not MOT'd, and I've just witnessed you drive the car that's not MOT'd." And I said, "Well, I can assure you it's insured, and I can assure you it's MOT'd." And he didn't seem to want to listen to that. He said it's registered to some address in East Sussex. I said, "Yes, it is. That's my other address. It's my home address, my main address." "Well, what's it doing here?" And I said, "Look, that's beside the point. The point is the vehicle's registered to me, it's registered to my home address, it's insured, and it's MOT'd." And he was adamant it wasn't MOT'd. He said it's coming up on the police PNC as not MOT'd. I said, "Well, there's no real surprise there, because when I had a broken fan belt on the motorway, the recovery company checked, and they said they weren't recovering me because I wasn't MOT'd." I said, "It's very simple. The country's been under lockdown for close to a year. Very few people have been in their offices. And the people at the DVLC, or DVLA, DVLC, whichever it is, are simply not in their offices processing manually this information. As the MOT certificates get published, they're supposed to go up online, and they're not. Now, I had to go inside and fetch the documentation. The guy, he was a bit sage, this police officer. He looked at it and he was fingering it to see if it was fake and all this sort of thing. And then he passed it back to me, and he didn't say, "Oh, fine, thank you," or "sorry," or anything. And it was just a bit sour. Then he wanted identification. I think he was thinking I'd stolen this car. It just leaves a bad taste. It's, to be fair, the area, it's a bit down at heel. It is. But a car like this perhaps does look a little out of place there. But we all know it's my car, and we know why I've got the car, and we know why I'm able to run it, because I jolly well do the works myself. I think he was just looking at me that I'd stolen this car, that it was registered to some fancy address in Brighton, and which is actually where I'm heading now, to the fancy address in Brighton. You know, it is a totally different location, and it doesn't look out of place there, but that's by the by. You know, it's just a little bit, it's a bit weird, you know, that and he took the dog, but he didn't say, oh, thank you for that, or he just sort of wound his window up and they drove off. It was very sage, it was very weird. So that's two bizarre incidents I've had this week from authority. The guy a couple of weeks ago, when he came first harassing me, the community protection officer, he said he was very sort of vindictive, and I could tell by his tone as well. Expensive looking car. I said, well, not as expensive as it looks. So they said, well, yeah, it's expensive to run, keep on the road. I said, well, yeah, that's why I do a lot of work myself. Yeah, but you can't be doing the work on the side of the street. It's the whole thing. It's just a bit sad and a bit pathetic. So, you know, he's definitely sort of exposed himself as pathetic, and obviously that police officer looked at this car and looked at the location and thought that doesn't belong there, and started fishing around and thought he'd struck gold, you know, with a car like this sitting in a down at heel area. But here we go. Here's quite a rare sight. There's an aircraft taking off here. Just I don't know if the camera can pick it up. It's just there. I'm travelling on the Heathrow flight path, and you know, most flights have been grounded for the best part of a year. But here we go. We've got an aircraft in the sky. Quite rare. But yeah, that's sort of taken me back a bit, actually. I drive under here, you know, 2 or 3 times a week, and I've not seen that for months. But anyway, you know, the car's running spectacularly well. I couldn't be happier with the way it feels, and I'm extremely happy with the work that I've done. And despite the fine, you know, I've taken it to just have the wheels aligned this morning, and it's perfect now. You know, the rear was spot on, the front, and the camber's very, very, very close. It's within 0.25 a percentage of 1 degree, I think. And the tracking was quite badly out, because obviously I'd just put new track rod ends and wound them on my hand. But yeah, the man that did the tracking was very complimentary about whoever had done the work on the car, because I didn't confess when I took it in that I'd sort of done the work on the side of the street. I didn't want them sort of looking and sniffing around. But he, you know, and then after he'd said, well, actually, you know, I can see the work's recently been done, and it's, you know, somebody's taken a lot of care. So I confessed at that point, so, well, actually, it was me. I did it on the side of the road. And, you know, it certainly made him chuckle a bit. You know, he said, you know, I think he thought I was winding him up, but you know, that was quite a hoot, actually. You know, it's all done, it's all perfect, and I will not be coming back to the suspension, hopefully, for many, many, many years.